promoting a healthy environment. It's the air we breathe. Clean, safe water. Responsible management of our natural resources. We protect and restore for a sustainable future. Environment matters.
Looking back on 20 years of hard work cleaning up one southern West Virginia watershed, work that's now paying big dividends. Plus,
helping the environment, and you get to do it with your friends.
Students at one local school take part in the DEP's annual Make It Shine Spring Cleanup, an early lesson that teachers hope begins a lifetime of environmental stewardship. Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Environment Matters. I'm Jake Glantz. Pipelines to carry West Virginia natural gas from the Marcellus and Utica shale formations to market are proposed or already under construction in many parts of the state. In early April, the DEP launched a new website to help people learn more about 5 of those major pipeline projects by placing information in an easily accessible location. The DEP's Brianna Hickman joins us now with more.
Jake, the 5 pipelines that are the focus of the webpage are the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, the Mountain Valley Pipeline, the Mountaineer Gas Company Eastern Panhandle Expansion Project, the Mountaineer Express Pipeline, and the Rover Pipeline. The page can be launched by visiting the DEP's website, dep.wv.gov, and clicking on the link at the bottom of the page. Once the page launches, users can find detailed maps of the proposed pipeline routes and a link to the DEP's searchable database. That's where users can find additional information like inspection and enforcement action and permit modifications. It's all designed to make the information easy to find.
The idea was to centralize all the information so that citizens could readily obtain it. Our systems are complex and multifaceted and kind of hard to navigate, so we thought we'd ease that up just a little bit.
Users can also find transcripts from public hearings along with agency responses to comments received during those hearings, as well as all pipeline-related news releases. So far, it's the mapping feature that's getting the most attention.
The mapping feature makes it more real. It lets people zoom into their backyard or their grandfather's place or wherever they want to look and see what the effects are. On those maps, you can change the base layer from city streets to terrain to topo, hillshade. There's multiple layers they can play with there, so they'll be able to see the streams and the roads. And then the pipeline permits have the pipeline center line, the right-of-way, the auxiliary workspaces, and access roads.
Citizens can also use the webpage to submit reports of possible permit violations. The DEP is working with environmental groups to help that process, recently meeting with representatives to give an overview of how the site works.
The Office of the Environmental Advocate has always worked with citizens, watershed groups, and other concerned entities. West Virginia Rivers and Trout Unlimited got together to create a pipeline monitoring team. They asked for our input. They've had some training through our Division of Water and Waste Management on how to assess streams and what to look for. And then they've always had an interface with the Office of the Environmental Advocate to help bounce thoughts off of us, to field complaints, to give them advice on how permits are working, maybe what stage they're in. They have trained over 300 people to go out and monitor pipeline construction.
And the impact of all those extra sets of eyes?
It's huge. Our environmental enforcement group is excited to have that many people out there that have at least some level of training on what a violation may or may not be and what to look for in the streams, how to take a photograph that will assist our folks in finding that location, a lot of those folks have GPSs, so they're going to get us really accurate locations. We've seen an uptick in those complaints already. As construction has started, we expect that it will continue to get busier.
Jake, so far the feedback has been positive. In the first week after the page went live, it had well over 1,000 hits. Organizers say they expect to update the page probably once a week as new applications or modifications to permits occur. For Environment Matters, I'm Brianna Hickman.
Thank you, Brianna. You can find the pipeline information webpage on our website, dep.wv.gov. There's a direct link at the bottom of our homepage. Ask most anglers about their favorite trout streams in West Virginia, and you'll probably hear some familiar names like the South Branch, the Williams, the Cranberry, Seneca Creek, and others. But there's a lesser known stream that flows through McDowell and Mercer counties that's becoming more popular thanks to dedicated efforts of 2 decades worth of volunteer cleanups. The DEP's Mike Huff has more.
It's not the easiest place to try to pick up trash. Between the steep banks, the thorn bushes, and the cold rushing water, these volunteers from Trout Unlimited had their work cut out.
A lot of our members, including myself, fish this stream a lot. I fish the stream probably about 10 times a year. I have fished it as many as 25 times a year. So we like to try to help in cleaning it up. The stream and the community need help, and we feel that this is part of the things that we can do to contribute back to the resource that we're using.
How the trout came to be in Elkhorn Creek is something of a local legend. The story goes something like this. Back in the 1970s, a hatchery truck hauling live trout broke down alongside the creek. Faced with the possibility of a truckload of dead fish, the driver released them into the creek, where, surprisingly, they thrived. That's because Elkhorn Creek isn't exactly your typical pristine trout stream.
We'll never get this up. I'll grab it and pick it up. I'll take it over.
Unfortunately, besides the trout, you'll also find a lot of trash as well, although volunteers say they're finding less and less of it with each cleanup, and that's a hopeful sign.
We first started cleaning up in the Mayberry section while we were hauling automobile bodies down to the creek and tires everywhere, and now the trash that we get is more in the form of small stuff, which means the community is not using it as a trash dump anymore, and that's what you had to have is pride in community and respect for the environment.
And that's due in no small part to the dedication of these volunteers, who keep coming back year after year.
We had probably close to 100 people today, including 7 or 8 different organizations, and we do it every year, and we get in a little fishing at the same time and have a lunch down in town in North Fork, and just a good time by all while we're trying to help the stream a little bit.
And by helping the Elkhorn recover, it's hoped that a cleaner creek will attract more tourism-related businesses to the area. In McDowell County, I'm Mike Huff for Environment Matters.
To find out more about the West Virginia Council of Trout Unlimited and the work they do to help conserve, protect, and restore West Virginia's cold water fishing resources, visit their website. It's wvtu.org. Earth Day was April 22nd. It was first celebrated 48 years ago. It's become a global event recognized in 192 countries and is the largest civic-focused day of action in the world, with more than 1 billion people taking part. Close to home, there were several activities that focused on making a positive difference in the environment that we all share. Here on the campus of Marshall University in Huntington, they celebrated with a plant sale and informational displays by student and local environmental groups. The event was organized by the university's Sustainability Department to help educate students and the community on what they can do as citizens to help protect the planet.
I think the main thing is education and letting people know that it's the small changes that we all make. We don't have to, start giant programs. We can reduce the time in the shower, reduce the amount of water we use, recycle, use less plastic. There are really simple things that we can apply to everyday life that makes a huge difference in the long run. We currently have a recycling program. We accept plastic, paper, cardboard, and metal. We are in the fall going to start accepting glass as well. And we will be composting all of our kitchen scrap. So that's one thing that we're doing. And another thing is we're expanding our bike loan program. So behind me, you'll see the bike from the bike loan program. We'll have 30 bikes on campus. Any student can check them out with an app on their phone and ride anywhere they want and return it when they're finished. So we're really excited about that to promote a more active and sustainable lifestyle.
The theme for this year's Earth Day celebration is End Plastic Pollution. The campaign encourages folks to reduce the amount of plastics we use in our everyday lives. The average time for a plastic bottle to completely degrade in the environment is 450 years. Of course, we like to think of every day as Earth Day here at DEP. Here are a few simple things we all can do to improve our environment. Plant a tree. Trees absorb carbon dioxide in the environment. Properly located, trees can also help keep your house cooler in the summer and shield it from winter winds. Replace inefficient incandescent light bulbs with more efficient CFLs or LEDs, and turn out the lights when you leave the room. Carpool, ride your bike, or use public transportation. If you do drive, make sure your tires are properly inflated and that your car is regularly serviced to make it as efficient as possible. Change your paper bills to online billing. You'll save trees and the fuel it takes to deliver your bills. Install a programmable thermostat to reduce your heating and cooling demands while you're away from home. And finally, reduce, reuse, and recycle. They're all little things, and it may not seem like, at least as individuals, that we're making much of a difference at all. But if each one of us tries to live just a little bit greener, together we can have a significant impact. For more tips on living sustainably, visit our website, dep.wv.gov. Spring is a time for cleaning, and the DEP's annual Make It Shine Spring Cleanup. Every year, thousands of volunteer groups take part to help remove tons of litter and trash from their neighborhoods, roads, and streams. We caught up with one group that, while they may have been lacking in size, they made up for it with enthusiasm. Meet the 4th grade class at Eastbrook Elementary School in Putnam County. They're on a mission to hunt down and remove every piece of litter from their school grounds.
So you can help the environment and your environment will look pretty.
Armed with bags and gloves that may have been a few sizes too large, they spread out in search of litter in every corner of the playground.
We found wrappers and all kinds of different things and paper scraps.
Students at Eastbrook have been taking part in the annual Make It Shine cleanup for several years now. Their teacher, Keisha Runyon, thinks it provides an important lesson.
So we always want to make sure our playground is clean and around our school so that we have a beautiful environment to learn in.
And that's important. Just ask Aiden.
So, like, animals won't eat it and get sick, and that, so the environment looks pretty.
But getting out of class on a pretty spring day is nice too, especially if it's for a good cause.
Helping the environment, and you get to do it with your friends.
So making sure that we understand that we need to make sure our natural areas stay clean is really on us because nobody else is there to do it. So if we see trash, we want to pick it up, and especially if it's in our area, whether we did it or not, we want to make sure that our area stays clean.
Volunteers with a local bike and pedestrian advocacy group got together recently to help clean a section of hiking and cycling trail in Huntington. About 24 volunteers from People Powered Huntington showed up to take on the Guyandotte section of the Paul Ambrose Trail for Health. This particular cleanup had to be rescheduled because organizers had to cancel the original date because of snow and freezing temperatures. Warmer weather this particular Saturday made for a better turnout, one that organizers hope to repeat.
We're hoping hoping to kind of make this a somewhat annual thing to come out and look over this section of the path, because we think it's a great section and can need a little help at times. So, and as a group, we're always trying to look for ways to make people feel more comfortable walking and biking within the city of Huntington.
Besides the Make It Shine cleanup, April is also a time for the annual Adopt a Highway Spring Cleanup. The event is sponsored jointly by the DEP and the West Virginia Division of Highways. These are some shots from the group from the Boone County Career and Technical Center's recent cleanup. To find out more about how you or your group can take part in a future Make It Shine or Adopt a Highway event, visit our website, dep.wv.gov, to find out more. The days are getting longer and the air getting warmer, and that means it's ozone season in West Virginia. Ground level ozone can reach levels of concern here locally from April through October. The DEP's Division of Air Quality maintains a statewide network of monitoring stations that measure ground level ozone, along with other critical pollutants like carbon monoxide and nitrogen dioxide. The raw data is converted into an air quality index, which assigns a number that corresponds to a scale ranging from good to moderate to unhealthy, all the way up to hazardous. Like the weather, air quality can change day to day, even hour to hour. Ozone in the stratosphere protects us from excess ultraviolet radiation from the sun. It's the same substance down here at ground level, but it has harmful effects if we breathe it. Ground level ozone is an unusual pollutant in that it's not emitted directly from most processes. It's formed as a chemical reaction between nitrogen oxides, which are combustion products, and volatile organic compounds, things like gasoline and solvents. In the presence of sunlight, that's what drives the reaction, they combine to form ground level ozone.
Well, the main thing is to limit your outside activity. So on a high ozone day, and you can look on our website and it'll tell you what the air quality index is for that day. So if it's in the orange zone, then that's probably not a good day for you to be out jogging, biking, and doing outside activities where you're exerting yourself. It's probably not a good day to be, mowing your yard either, because not only are you breathing that higher concentration of ozone, but you're contributing to the problem by the emissions from your powered lawn equipment.
Ozone is likely to reach unhealthy levels on hot, sunny days in urban environments. Ozone can also be transported long distances by wind. That's why, even in rural areas, you can experience high ozone levels, and why the DEP maintains a monitoring station in rural Greenbrier County.
Greenbrier doesn't have much in the way of an industrial base, doesn't have a lot of man-made emissions, but you do have this transport component, and a lot of times the transport component can be as large as, or in some cases even greater than, the local component.
There are a few things we can all do to reduce our contribution to air pollution. For example, next time you're stuck in traffic or waiting in line at a drive-thru, try to limit your engine idling. Shut it off if you're going to be stationary for more than a minute or so. When you fill up your tank, do it in the evening, so the fumes that escape from refueling won't combine with the sun's heat to increase ozone levels. And lastly, don't try and top off your tank. You're only releasing more gasoline vapors into the air. Breathing ground level ozone can trigger a variety of health problems, including chest pain, coughing, throat irritation, and congestion that can reduce lung function and inflame the linings of the lungs. It could also worsen conditions like bronchitis, emphysema, and asthma. May is Asthma Awareness Month. Nearly 26 million Americans, including 7 million children, are affected by this chronic respiratory disease. Stormwater runoff is one of the leading causes of water pollution. It's especially significant in urban areas with a lot of impermeable surfaces like roofs and pavement that tend to send water straight to the storm drains without giving it time to be absorbed into the ground. One way to reduce the impact, particularly if you like to garden, is to install a rain barrel. Rain barrels divert water from the downspout and store it for future use. The DEP and the Charleston Stormwater Program are partnering to hold a series of rain barrel workshops in May and June at Capitol Market and at the DEP headquarters in Kanawha City. Space is limited, and there is a $10 fee to cover materials to make your own rain barrel that you can take home after the workshop. Find out more at charlestonstormwater.org. If you can't make it to one of the workshops, you can find instructions on building your own rain barrel at their website, along with information on other things you can do, like rain gardens to help minimize stormwater runoff. And just to give you an idea, during a 1-inch rainfall event, the average house sheds about 700 gallons of water. The DEP's Office of Abandoned Mines and Reclamation is taking applications for a portion of $25 million in grant funding available for economic development projects. The economic development projects must be located on or adjacent to mine sites that ceased operations prior to the signing of the Surface Mine Control and Reclamation Act on August 3, 1977. You can find a map of known West Virginia AML sites on our website, along with grant applications and additional information about the program. Completed applications are due on June 15th. Since 2016, 18 projects have received a total of $53 million through that program, including the Elk Restoration Project Visitor Center Complex in Logan County. Other past winners have included such projects as water line expansion and public sewer improvements, a new YMCA facility, and construction of an ATV trail. In a news release, DEP Cabinet Secretary Austin Caperton said, "These vital projects will help improve the lives of people who live near or on abandoned mine sites and will help promote tourism and other economic development. I encourage any group who has a plan to develop an abandoned mine land site to apply for this grant funding. Whether the project is big or small, they're all important." The DEP is ultimately responsible for determining which of those projects get funding, working with an advisory committee that's made up of representatives from the West Virginia Department of Commerce and the Governor's Office. The grant funding is provided by the federal government and administered by the DEP's Office of Abandoned Mine Lands and Reclamation. Now, all funding must be approved by the U.S. Department of the Interior's Office of Surface Mining, Reclamation, and Enforcement. Grant recipients could be announced as early as September. Our friends at Orsanco have announced the winners of this year's Ohio River Sweep t-shirt and poster design contest. The grand prize winning entry, which will be featured on this year's promotional posters, was created by Hannah Jones of Mount Lebanon High School in Pittsburgh. Landon Reed from Glen Swing Elementary School in Covington, Kentucky was the winner of the t-shirt design. Landon's design will be featured on over 13,000 t-shirts handed out to volunteers at this year's River Sweep. Winners were also awarded at each grade level, and Cameron Tyree of Wahama High School in Mason County, West Virginia, was the winner of the 11th grade category. Each year since 1989, the Ohio River Sweep has brought thousands of volunteers to the banks of the Ohio and many of its major tributaries to remove tons of trash and debris. The River Sweep runs the entire length of the river and includes nearly 3,000 miles of shoreline. The West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection is a partner agency of Orsanco and coordinates the cleanup efforts along the West Virginia shoreline. This year's River Sweep is set for June 16th. A quick reminder, you can now follow the DEP on Facebook. Just search DEPWV. Several groups within DEP, like the Youth Environmental Program and Project WET, were already on Facebook, but our new page consolidates them and adds all kinds of new material, so look us up and give us a like. We are also on Twitter. You can find us at DEPWV. And if you miss us on one of our broadcast partners, you can always catch the latest episode of Environment Matters on the Environment Matters YouTube channel. Always available anytime on your connected devices. Just search Environment Matters. Subscribe and never miss an episode. We leave you now with the view from Cooper's Rock. On behalf of all of us here at the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
More than 800 people with one mission, promoting a healthy environment. We are the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection.